sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, ECSI. Breakfast Bankroll, Saturday, November 5th. A full day and night of NCAAF football. Breeders' Cup, Saturday. An amazing UFC card. NFL tomorrow. I mean, if you're an action junkie, holy moly, you better get some batteries into that remote and buckle up because you're in for a hell of a day and a weekend. But without further ado, my co-host from Tampa, the one, the only Mr. Scott E. Webb. My brother, what is happening?
Morning, Jeff. It's I don't know. It's a little chilly down here for me today. I got long sleeves on.
Woke up this morning and there was a big frost. I mean, it's the biggest of the season so far. I mean, it's November 5th. We've been blessed. We've had an amazing stretch. We had a great fall. A lot of times you don't get much of a fall, and then boom, it will just get into that raw, rainy winter. Oh, that's right. Don't forget to turn the clocks back tonight, too, as well. I forgot an extra hour of sleep, which I'll be up staring at the ceiling anyway, so it don't matter.
I'll be sound asleep, brother. I'm telling you, I'll be asleep for that extra hour. But I'm not used to the cold rain and the wind and some of the stuff we got today. I get it. It's not 30 degrees or something down here. It's 55 degrees. So, but for me,
yeah.
For me, 55 degrees, pretty cold right now.
We'd be walking around in tank tops and shorts if it was 55 here today. So, last night the VIPs were gifted with a Utah first half -6. I haven't seen a clinic like that in a while. I think it was 38-0 at half. Stanford quarterback out. It didn't matter. Utah was just whatever they wanted to do. I think they, at one point, 402 yards to rushing yards to like 14 yards for Stanford. And the VIPs hit an NBA game. We have only given out a couple. We've been on the wrong side of what I call is that NBA halftime and at the end of the third phone call. This time we're on the right side. We had the Knicks plus 4.5. And we all sprinkled a little pizza and beer money on them, plus 155 at Milwaukee, and they got the job done, which was good there. And then, of course, in the NHL, wrong side of an overtime game. But 2-1, nice night of profit as we get ready for today. And I was already been talking to a lot of our clients via text and stuff. What we like to do is, we get our lines Sunday morning, take them into Monday, and just follow them all the way up. And last night, what we do is we take the snapshot, we assess, and we put together a board leading up to where we are today. What were the final moves coming into today? But I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 7 games that we took and wrote down for last night to where we are today. So we're going to be interested to see where you are, sir. So I'm going to bring up one of the Bibles. Let me see what we feel froggy today with. We're going to grab our friends at Wager Talk. WagerTalk.com. If anyone wants to follow along, just go to WagerTalk.com. Free odds, and this is free. And you got a one-stop shop in here. But Scotty, take it away.
Well, I tried to break these games down so that it's easier for the listener to sort of just go, okay, this is what's going on, and by time frame instead of by, okay, this is the best game or this is the worst game or I feel strong about this or that or whatever. So I've got listed down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. I got like 12 games. I didn't bet 12 games. I just had 12 games that I had interest in, and I have the 12 games I bet for. But I do have, before we get into what I bet, for those of you who don't know, obviously Jeff introduces me every day when I'm on the show, and he introduces me from Florida. I live in Florida. And we just got the Seminole Indians Hard Rock Casino to open up a sports app. So I'm messing around with it. I just put a couple $100 in there just to see what was going on with it. I'm not making big plays in that sports book. I just want to see how it works and all that stuff. But one of the interesting things that they did today, just as you hear and see on FanDuel and a lot of stuff, they did some odds boosts. So, Jeff, I wanted to hit you with 2 of these odds boosts and see what you think.
Okay.
The first one, they called it the red and the gold and the green. Okay, so that's what they called it, and that's because Florida State, Baylor, and Mississippi State or Michigan State just have to win the game. Those 3 teams. The regular payout is plus 410. The odds boost is plus 500. So you get 500 to 1 if all 3 of those teams win. The second one that they did is an ACC one, and it's Miami, Florida, Pittsburgh, and Wake Forest. That's plus 190, and the odds boost is plus 240. So my question to you is, if you were going to put $10 on one of these games, what would you do?
Well, it's funny you called out both those parlays, because I will usually when they boost these, they don't come in.
Well, I know that.
And of our 7 games here, you hit 2 of them on the other side. So I will give you what I think will break both of those. How's that sound?
That's no worries to me.
Okay. So give me the first parlay again.
Florida State, Baylor, Michigan State.
Okay. Purdue will take down Michigan State today.
I don't doubt that for a minute.
And give me the second parlay.
Miami, Florida, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest.
UNC's taking down Wake Forest today.
Okay. I didn't play either one. I wasn't going to play either one. I just found it interesting because it's just I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think that the boost was that bad. But I thought it was kind of intriguing because I don't think Michigan State's a lock. I don't think Florida State's a lock. They got to beat North Carolina State, for example. Wake Forest would have to win. And the first game that I actually bet on, Jeff, you're going to fall out of your chair. I bet on Georgia Tech today at noon. That's game 325 on the board. I got plus 10.5. That's Georgia Tech, and they are, I think, in a spot here where they're a pretty even team to Miami is the way I see it. So let me pull up my numbers so that I can kind of break it down to why I did what I did. And then we will go from there. So EPA, right? So EPA rank for Georgia Tech is number 89 in the country. And for Miami, Florida is number 88 in the country. So they're pretty even that way. And then when I kind of looked at that and I'm going, holy shit, they're pretty even. I get in 10.5 points. That's pretty good for me. So I said, let's start to break it down a little different. So you're going to take Georgia Tech, who ranks number 65 in EPA rushing offense. They're going to face Miami's rushing defense that ranks 105. So that's a pretty good edge there for Georgia Tech to be able to run the football. And then when you look at it from a passing perspective, where is it? Georgia Tech is 49 passing the football against 67. So offensively, Georgia Tech has a little bit of an advantage. Defensively, when it looks at it from that perspective, Miami runs the ball 93rd in the country on EPA, so not very good. And they're going to run against the Georgia Tech defense that's 33rd in the country on stopping them on defense. So they're not going to go anywhere defense. So they got to throw the ball. So they're 66th on passing, and the pass defense for Georgia Tech sucks. They're 112. So they're going to have a path to throw the football for Miami. But what I liked is that Georgia Tech has both an offense shot running the football and passing the football against Miami. And then I looked at it from another level too. So I'm trying to incorporate one more thing into this, and I'm having a hard time finding the numbers. So, but in this case, this is success rate. So success rate is measured by so not all second downs, for example, are the same. So if it's second down and 7, or if it's second down and 3, your success rate on offense was much better for the second down and 3. So you're measured based off of how your play was actually ran and how successful it was. So when you look at success rate for Georgia Tech, they're pretty bad. Their success rate's not very good. Offensive success rate ranks 101. Defense success rate is 102. And Miami of Florida is a little bit better there. But there's also this category. It's called early downs. So this is what I was kind of looking at, was ball control and can Miami get off the field. So when Georgia Tech has the ball on early downs, they rank 31st in the country on early downs EPA, and Miami ranks 67th. And if you flip that over, where we talked about how Miami could throw the ball, but on early downs, they rank 104th, and the defense for Georgia Tech ranks 71st. So that means they're going to have lots of second and longs and third and longs, and they're going to have to try to do a lot to keep the ball moving. So I like Georgia Tech to be able to hang in to the 10.5 points against Miami in this game. I think the two teams are just not mirror images of each other. That's not correct, but they're close enough together that 10.5 is way too many points. So that was what I bet first of all, and then the last one that I didn't bet, the one that I almost bet, this Louisiana Tech and UAB game, this is all defense. Those two teams are all defense, not much offense. I was going to play the game under, but it's already been bet down a little bit. It's the number I saw is 49.5. Is that what it still is on that total?
Yeah, we had some 50s.5. It's actually 49 right now at Circa, and DraftKings currently at 49, and Pinnacle. So yeah, 49 in a hook at a couple spots in the Vegas Strip, but we're probably settling on a 49 right now, Scotty.
Yeah, I think our best numbers are beyond us on that one. So I skipped that game. And then I think there's a trap game out there. I think and you might see it a different way, but this Liberty game against Mississippi, I think what do you call them? The public trendy dog?
Yep.
I think Liberty might be one of those type of teams. Maybe I didn't look at the betting numbers where they're at, but I think a lot of people, from what I'm hearing, and I was listening on the radio coming into the Vegas show, and they were all talking about Liberty. I think that's a trap game. I think you got to be careful there. I think Mississippi might blow them out. But anyway, that all being said, I skipped that game, and that was my noon games. I mean, it's not very exciting. I bet Georgia Tech plus 10.5, and I passed on an under 49.5. And then I didn't play Liberty, which is a trap game. I kind of like Memphis today, plus the 4.5. And I think it's up to 5.5 now against SMU, but I left that one off the board. And then I did play 2 games at 3:30. But if you want to do your stuff at noon, then we can go into 3:30. That's up to you.
You know what I like, and everyone listening here, please take note, because the public right now is watching game day, getting you guys all lathered up, and throwing out all these carrots, and Bears throwing out some information, Kirk and the boys. And Scotty mentioned 3 games that are the smaller games. If you can stay away from the high profile games, I'm not telling you every time, but my point is you're going to find sharper, better numbers on the smaller games. It's just how it is. And so if you're taking your betting card strictly based upon what's on TV, more often than not, you're going to be right where the public is, the squares are, the degens are, and you're not going to be successful long term. I'm not saying you can't win, but the point is you got to dig deep. You got to work at this. This isn't just a wake up Saturday morning, grab the board. There's 100 games. You might as well just throw darts if that's what you're going to do. And that's what myself and Scotty are trying to do here, is to educate. So I applaud you for the games that you pulled up. And I'll have to agree with you 100% on that Liberty, Mississippi game, because looking strictly at the numbers there, the game opened at 10.5. It's 9 at Circa. It's already down to 8.5 at Westgate, and it's 7.5 at DraftKings. And give me Liberty or give me death. That's what everyone's saying right now this morning. So again, just buyer beware. I'm not saying Liberty doesn't cover. I'm just saying when the number is moving like that, you really got to dig deep and to figure out why it's moving like that. That's all. At noon, we talked already about it. And again, applaud. The UNC game, Wake Forest, I think, is averaging 37 points, or they've had like 10 straight games with 37 or more points. A UNC team that was highly, highly touted to start the year. They had a quarterback that was one of the leaders going into the Heisman, and they just came out of the gate. I think their opening day game, they lost to Virginia Tech, and the rest has been history. A strong lean on that game for us. If it was to play it, would take the points off the board. That under-over is at 78.5 at South Point, and it's just climbing. So they're trying to tell you, whoever has the ball last, most likely is going to win. But we had noted here UNC minus the 135 on the money line. We had jotted that and grabbed that last night. Same eyes on the Memphis SMU game, jotted down last night. Memphis plus 4.5.
I think it's up to 5.5.
There was a big move overnight. Let me just grab that one up here so I can take a better look.
I think it is 5.5.
Come on, mouse. I'm showing 5s right now.
Right.
Across the Vegas Strip. Now, and I'm showing 55% of the bets, 60% of the money coming in on Memphis. So the numbers kind of moving in the right direction. I would expect a late push here on SMU. But with that said, and you brought it up earlier, is Memphis going to end up being that public trendy dog? SMU's having a great season. And this is not one of the better Memphis teams, but I think they're in a hell of a spot. And I think, this is kind of not their bowl game, but this is a good spot for them at 12 o'clock. I had 3 games at 3:30. So I'll go off of the 3:30 games that we were looking at, and then we'll come back to you here. Rotation number 394. We talked about this earlier. Purdue plus the 3.5. About the hook last night. So we had that minus 120 and grabbed the plus 130 on the money line. The first show came out on Tuesday night, and usually this is when the chips start to fall. I think it's a hell of a spot for Purdue. Nothing against what Michigan State has done. I just think it's a real good spot here for Purdue, not just to cover, but to spring the upset. You're getting 56% of the bets, 64% of the money coming in on Michigan State. Yet I'm showing some reverse line movement over there already. Overnight, that number dropped to 2.5 in some spots. there are some threes out there. Circa right now at a flat 2. So if you're going to get on the Purdue Boilermakers, you better get on that now. This one, Auburn +5, rotation number 395, 396. I was surprised with this opening number, Scott. I thought A&M would be about a 7-point favorite. Auburn and Bo Nix has quietly been playing well. I'm showing 60% of the bets, 54% of the money coming in on A&M. They're showing you the line opened at 4. I saw 5s everywhere. So I'm showing a little reverse line movement on Auburn today. You could grab them even at a +175 on the money line there. And the last one, this is one I really want your thoughts on. Rotation number 404, 403. Let me go there. 3:30 start. Colorado State at Wyoming opened at 3.5. 3.5's all across the board. And Wyoming +3.5. Wyoming +145 on the money line. I know Colorado State's kind of rounding into form here. It's kind of split on the tickets and monies. It's been kind of a line freeze. What do your numbers say on that game, Scott?
Well, my numbers say that Colorado State as a favorite's the wrong team.
Correct.
So Colorado State is 58th in EPA. Wyoming is 40th. And where the variance here is that Colorado State can play defense. They rank 15th in the country on EPA on defense. And I always like to bet on good defenses, but they rank 100 on offense. So there's only 130. We talk about this. There's only 130 ranked teams. So if you're 100 out of 130, that's pretty bad. So anytime you're in the triple digits, I'm like, oh boy, look at this. Let's go find a way to beat this team. So the matchup looks like this. So Wyoming runs the ball at 23rd in the country, EPA, and Colorado State defense versus the run is 31st. So that's just going to be a battle of wills. They'll run the football as much as they can, and Colorado State will probably do pretty good, but they'll give up a little bit. Where Wyoming's going to struggle is through the air because they're ranked 84th in passing, and Colorado State ranks 17th in passing. And not to shed any poor light on that because that's a good number. But it's even a better number because of the conference they play in, because that's a throwing league. And if you're out in the Pac-12 or whatever they call that anymore, if you're out in the Pac-12, then and you can play defense against the pass, you got an edge on some of the opponents that you play. The problem is, in my mind, Colorado State, they can't move the football. They rank 119th rushing and 75th passing. Wyoming on defense ranks 82nd against the run and 12th against the pass. Neither one of these teams are going to be able to throw the ball very well. So it's going to be a matter of who can run the football. So if you really look at it from a perspective of who can run the football, Wyoming runs the ball 23rd in the country, and Colorado State runs the football at 119th. So I like the edge that Wyoming has in this game. I just didn't bet it.
Okay.
Does that kind of line up with your thoughts there?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to replay the tape. Colorado State played Boise State last week. Was that it?
I don't remember who Colorado State played last week, but I can look it up real fast.
I thought they might have hosted Boise State. It was that 2 weeks ago. Good first quarter, and then they got lambasted. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago.
Let's go back and click the button that says, hey, archive. And what was last week? Last week was last week we were in a different month, for God's sakes. Saturday last week, Colorado State played. I'm pretty sure it's probably a late game. Colorado State played Boise State. It was 28-19. Boise State beat Colorado State. Boise State went off as a 2 or 1.5 point favorite.
Yeah, and again, it was a good first quarter, and then Boise had, I think, a good second and third quarter, maybe a late rally by Colorado State there. But those are the games that grabbed us early, and then at 3:30, had one 7 o'clock game, and I'll just throw it out there and your thoughts there, and then you get the rest of the board. And grab this one early this week. And to me, this is a slam dunk. So I'd be interested in what your numbers say. Rotation number 387, 388. Tennessee at Kentucky at 7 o'clock. We grabbed the Volunteers in Tennessee on that money line, minus 115.
Yeah, numbers show that Tennessee's got an edge here. So shows 48th in the country for EPA for Tennessee, 66 for Kentucky. I talked about Kentucky last week. I think they're overrated.
Yes,
I think I do. Offense for Tennessee, 41. Offense for Kentucky, 63. 59 on defense for Tennessee, 60 for Kentucky. So not much difference on defense. But where they're different is Tennessee's going to run the football. They rank 28th, but the matchup is Kentucky can stop the run. They rank 20th on defense. So there's that matchup works pretty good, even though Tennessee doesn't throw the ball that well, kind of middle of the road. 69th. Kentucky can't stop the pass. They rank 101. So you got a strength of an offense in running that's going to have to kind of get that taken away, but they have that path to success. On the other side, Kentucky, they run the ball at 61st in the country, and they're going to go against the 64th ranked Tennessee defense. And then they throw the ball 54th against the 73rd ranked pass defense. So it's going to kind of be, I guess the best way to say it is who's going to be able to throw the ball better in this particular game. And I like the idea that both of these teams are pretty close. But if it was me, I would want to be getting more points.
And last numbers to take a peek at with the way you with what you see. Washington have a shot against Oregon today?
They do.
Yeah.
I think they do. But I think it's more associated to staying within. Is it still 7 or is it 6.5?
I actually bought it last night. I bought the hook to 7.5. It's flat sevens across the board. With a 73% ticket rate with 54% of the money. I bought the hook to 7.5 and sprinkled a little pizza and beer money on the plus 230 on the money line.
Well, here's the problem in this game. The problem in the game is that, well, let's just start this way. Oregon ranks 22nd in EPA and Washington 63rd. And Oregon's offense is 23rd. Washington is 73. So their offense isn't quite as good, obviously. But Oregon's defense is 51. Washington's 47. But there's real big splits here. So Oregon is 6th in the nation at EPA running the football. Washington is 115th on defense at stopping the run. So that's not a good sign. And on the other side of it, Washington runs the ball at 110th, and the defense for Oregon against the run is 44th. So that makes Washington pretty one-dimensional. But at the same time, it's a home game for Washington. Washington, I think, has an opportunity to stay within the 7. Usually when there's a numbers difference of about 40, that number should be a little bit less than 7. So I think you're getting a little bit of a good number here. But it's going to be questionable to how good Oregon is if they can run the football. I heard someone else talk about this game on the radio, and one of the things I think that kind of goes into play, and I agreed with, was you still have to look at the head coaches. This guy's what is this his second year now taking over in Washington? I think it's his second year, and they're supposed to be pretty stacked this year in Washington coming into the league, and they're only a 500 team. So I think there's a coaching mismatch here. Not that I think Cristobal, or whatever his name is, I think that's his name, Cristobal in Oregon. Not that I think that he's the greatest coach in the world, because I think he can get out coached too. But I think he's a better game day coach. I think he's got more experience, and I think he's probably the better coach in this game. So it's I think it's kind of questionable. But I if you got it at 7.5, that's a pretty good number compared to what you can get it at right now. So
this reminds me of when I was in Vegas that week. Washington traveled to Michigan, and it was a slow first quarter. Michigan then just poured it on, and Washington offensively just couldn't move the ball, and Michigan just kept pounding the rock, and it was the bend don't break, and then they broke. And again, as we get into the second and third and fourth weeks in November, these upsets become monumental because a lot of these teams are having a bad year. So, like, for instance, this Washington win would knock Oregon out of the playoff chase. It would be a feather in their cap. Some of these other games that we talked about, Wake Forest undefeated right now. Not that they're going to get into the Final Four, but again, UNC having an off year, and could put a feather in their cap. Same with Kentucky having a good year, but in comes Tennessee and vice versa. So, stage is yours, Scotty. What are you seeing after that?
All right, so going back to the 3:30 games, you had mentioned one of them. I think it was rotation 393, 394. I think you took Purdue, right?
Yes.
I was looking at that game, but I was looking at it in an under because I think these are two really, really strong defenses and not the greatest offenses. So I don't think the game's going over 54. And I think that's what the number is, unless it's still going down. But I didn't take that. I stayed off the Florida State because I think that's a trendy dog too. I think people like that game, and you got to remember, not North Carolina State. They're not a great football team, but they have a great defense, and you still got to score against them to beat them. And I don't think Florida State's. They stack up halfway decent against a lot of teams. They'll stack up halfway decent here, but I still don't trust Florida State, if that makes sense. So I couldn't pull the trigger there. So my 3:30 game, I have two of them. One of them you're not going to be surprised about, but the other one you might be. I took rotation number 385. That's Oklahoma State minus the 3.5 today. And that's against Oklahoma State is playing West Virginia in West Virginia. I hate betting against West Virginia at West Virginia, by the way, because growing up in Ohio, I know that that's in the mountains, and it's one of these places that it's kind of hard to get there. And all the people that live in West Virginia go crazy there, and it's just a tough place for the opponent to play. Having said that, though. Oklahoma State is ranked 26th in EPA. West Virginia is ranked 75. So that's a difference of about 50. And when we talked about it the last time, right? When we just went over that with what was the last one you just told me to look at? It was
Washington and Oregon, or the Wyoming.
Yeah, because that was 40, right? Remember, that was 40, and the number they have to cover is 7. This one, they're ahead by 50 in EPA, and they only got to cover 3.5. So that's where the first edge comes in, and where the biggest edge is that the Oklahoma State defense ranks 11th, the West Virginia defense ranks 81st, and that really compiles when you start to look at the passing for Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State ranks 45th in the country passing the football. West Virginia ranks 92nd against the pass. So they have a certain avenue to throw the football. West Virginia ranks 55th rushing the football against the 14th ranked defense, and they're 65th passing against the 19th ranked defense. So I like Oklahoma State here. I think Oklahoma State's in a good spot. I don't have to cover that many points. I think they win by at least 6 to a touchdown. So I'm all in on Oklahoma State. The other game, and I don't know that I can find too many people that even know these teams. South Alabama, man. I'm going back to South Alabama. We played them before. I'm going to go back after them again. They're getting 4 points, and they're playing Troy. This is 381 is the number. And South Alabama EPA is 13th in the country, and Troy is 81. So that tells me that the wrong team is even favored. So I looked at it from a perspective of Troy, people have heard of before. South Alabama, they don't even know who they are. They don't even know where they are. If they didn't say Alabama in the name, they'd think they were, in Pittsburgh or something. So they are the Jaguars. If people don't know who they are, they're the South Alabama Jaguars. They rank 22nd in offense and 26th on defense. Troy ranks 109th on offense and 22nd on defense. So that's a big difference when you're almost 90 spots different in EPA on offense. So I like Alabama here, South Alabama here, getting 4 points, and they are much, much better football team in my mind, or at least what the EPA numbers show. So I couldn't pass up with that one, and that's the only other game I played at 3:30, and I did play one night game tonight at 7:00. It's rotation number 330, and I took Louisville plus 4 points. For the same reasons. I mean, the defense for Clemson's really good and all that stuff. But Louisville ranks 68th in EPA. Clemson ranks 90th. And we talked about this every time Clemson plays. They got a great defense. Their defense is 9th. I'm not going to, they don't let many people, they're not going to give up many points. But offense ranks 125. And again, there's 130 teams ranked on offense, 130, and they rank 125 for God's sakes. And they're on the road as a favorite in this game. And if you remember last week, they had to do everything they could do just to beat Florida State. So I'm all over Louisville at home tonight in this spot because nothing more than I think they're going to keep the game close, and if they lose by a field goal, and I'm getting 4 points. So I don't think Clemson can score very well. And you did mention early betting, so that was one things I wanted to say as we start to look at tomorrow, because the NFL and all the different things that are going on in the NFL these days. The only advice that I would give you is to stay with, do whatever works for you. But what I'm suggesting is you don't have to be in a hurry to bet these games anymore. It used to be, I want to go get, what we kind of joke at it, CLV, right? Closing line value. I got to beat the closing line value. You don't have to beat the closing line value. You have to win your bet, God damn it. But when you go to thinking along those lines and you go out there and you make a bet on the Green Bay Packers and then Aaron Rodgers comes up with COVID and he ain't going to play. Now, what are you going to do? I think what you need to do is you need to wait till Thursday or at least wait till Friday, and then you make your bets based off of those numbers. You can watch the line. Where did it go? Who's hurt? Who played? Who practiced? If they don't practice on Friday, they're not playing on Sunday. So it's pretty easy. And if somebody falls down or gets COVID or whatever, you're not hosed. And that's going on every single week now. So I think you delay as much as you can. That's just my strategy. I think that's a good strategy to tell people if you wait, you're not going to be stuck or you're not going to be on pins and needles. What happened? CeeDee Lamb fell down this week and twisted his ankle. Hell, he might not even play. That's going to be one of those weird things that's going to happen. But, you're not going to have a quarterback go through a walkthrough on a Saturday and he's going to break his leg. That's not going to happen. So this COVID thing, they get tested all the time, every day, and you don't know who these guys are and what they do. They're just humans like everybody else. Some of them wear masks, some of them got shot, some of them didn't. So they're going to, they get the thing, they can't play.
No, good advice. Because again, it used to social media, the so-called experts, the real professionals, again, the sharps, whatever you want to call them, just whatever, follow them. The problem, like you just stated, and it's a great point, is the fact that some of these numbers come out, early Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and then obviously Monday morning for the following weeks. Yes, it's nice to pounce on a number that you think is going to keep moving in the other direction. In today's game, especially the NFL, the COVID, the injuries, you've just seen it more and more and more. The added game this season, I think, is turned more for the worse. These guys are breaking down, and they're being almost more cautious in my mind. Hey, you brought up CeeDee Lamb, good example. All set, all of a sudden a little twist of ankle. You know what? I think we have enough on offense to sit him and make sure he gets an extra week of health because we want to win the Super Bowl this year. We want to make it deep into the playoffs. So they're not rushing back. These guys are already paid. They're looking long-term. Perfect example, I think, is Arizona this week. I don't expect Hopkins or Murray to play this week. And that number has gone from Arizona -1.5 to some spots 49ers -2 and 2.5. The number's dictating what's going to happen. The same thing happened last week. Minnesota and Dallas. Dallas opened up 2.5 point favorites. Dak questionable. Vegas knew he wasn't playing. They just flipped it immediately to Minnesota -2.5, and Cooper Rush was able to get the win. But I think in this show today, Scotty, hats off. I think we've given everyone 45 minutes of preview to get them set for the day, the evening. What I suggest to anyone watching and listening is, to come follow us if you're not already following us on EC Sports Invest. For myself, Scotty at Webby20 MLB on Twitter. We'll follow you right back. DMs are wide open 24/7, 365. We're here to answer questions. We're here to educate with a little entertainment. If we crack a joke and you laugh and smile, thank you. But our job's here to educate. ESPN, Fox, those other guys, they're here to entertain for you. So from myself and Scotty, we wish you the best of luck today. Always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next month, next year, and so on and so forth. So best of luck today in your wagers. Stay in your lane, will you? There's a full day and night of action. I didn't even talk Breeders' Cup. I didn't talk UFC, NBA, NHL. We just gave you the insight on the NCAAF. Good luck today, and myself and Scott will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.